Talk about low-budget flights. No food or movies? I'm out of here. I like running better. Welcome back, YouTube viewers, to another video. So before we get into today's topic, I'd like to say to all of you, Happy Father's Day. Your father is very important, and you should always remember him. So then let's get into today's video. My first and probably my only tier list I'll ever do. I mean, never say never, but I know. So this is going to be quite a long video, I'm assuming anyway. Because yeah, this is tier listing every Archie Sonic character. And yeah, that's gonna be something alright. Oops, sorry. Let's see. We have to create a new category. Oh gosh. Just even okay, excuse me for 1 second. Let me just create another one. And the last one will be don't care. Yeah, surprisingly, I have not read every single Archie Sonic story. When it comes to pre-boot, yes, I have read everything. I've read literally every single story at least once, most of them twice. Some, many more than that. So without further ado, let's do it to it. First, Adam. Okay, A tier. I mean, he's a fantastic villain that's part of an amazing story arc, but it just wouldn't really feel right to put him in S, so yeah, A. Alicia Acorn, B. I like all the Suppression Squad are all good characters, but most of them aren't really remarkable or anything. Amadeus Prower, uh, hmm. This is tough because this depends on where you side with the whole political squabble in House of Cards. I think both him and Elias had some very good points, but I'm just gonna put him in A for now. Amy, this is pre-boot Amy, D tier. She's not the worst ever, but she's pretty annoying, so I just don't care. Pre-boot, same thing. Or reboot, same thing. I don't care. Flickies, these are not characters. Reboot Antoine. I didn't read that much of pre-boot or reboot, but from what I can tell, Antoine is probably the only freedom fighter that really was still good in reboot, so I'm gonna give him a B. Okay, pre-boot Antoine, A for sure. I mean, he won. They took his cowardice from Sad AM, but they made it less annoying, and I already don't think he's that annoying in Sad AM. My problem with him in Sad AM was just that he didn't do anything. I mean, Archie, they made him a swordsman. He was able to fight. He was able to do things. He was able to strategize occasionally. In Sad AM, he did absolutely nothing useful. But here, well, he definitely does have his missteps. Those had to do less with his characterization, more so with how much or how little the writers actually used him. Hey, Archimedes, S tier. Who doesn't love Archimedes? Well, it could feel pretty annoying that everybody kept keeping secrets from Knuckles throughout the entirety of the Knuckles comic. Archimedes did that, except he still showed himself regularly and was an entertaining character. And who doesn't love Archimedes, as I already said? Um, just for all the Arctic freedom fighters, I don't care about them. They all just, well, except for this one because he's a penguin. I like penguins. I'm gonna put him over here. This guy, I guess, is the most personality, so I guess he's good. I don't care. Oh boy, Ash Mongoose. This is complicated because I don't hate him as much as other people do, and he did get some decent characterization under Ian Flynn, but I don't know what to say about Ash Mongoose. He's good, I guess. Um, well, he's average. He's annoying. Bark, A tier. Oh, who doesn't love Bark? Bean, S tier. I mean, come on. And hey, the only reason Bean and Bark even show up in anything these days is because of Archie. They would not be. Same thing with Knack. None of them would be around without Archie. And Archie is the first thing that made them a team. Which, yeah, it was a canceled concept in Sonic Heroes, but Archie's the first time that was done officially. Okay, weird bear guy that must be from Preboot. Haven't read or Reboot. Haven't read. Bunny's uncle, Bogard, Rabbit, whatever. I guess B. He's a good story. I thought his conflict was pretty interesting, but what do you really say about him? Uh, Belle, Bunny and Antoine's future daughter. I don't care. Sonic's mother. B tier. Yeah, I like Sonic's parents. Okay, Big, reboot Big. Um, I don't. I mean, I did read him a bit in reboot, but I just don't care. Preboot, he's good. Okay, I'll put him here because really, he's just Big the Cat, guys. He's not really a character. He's more of a plot device. He's funny, sure, but what do I say about Big the Cat? Okay, Black Death. Hmm. I'll put him here. Black Death was a pretty good villain. Much better a villain than Black Doom, that's for sure. Although I could have wished the name weren't Black Death. That's way too edgy. Cool design though. And the fight with Shadow was really cool. Okay, Preboot Blaze, A tier. I like Blaze a lot here, but she's just exactly the same as she is in the games. Well, I'm not mad they overused her because I think she was in the comic enough. I can't think of any other spots she would have been in. I mean, I'm sure if the comic didn't get um rebooted, I'm sure they would have done more with her, and I guess her story still did get finished. But I mean, it's just that when you look at all the stuff Archie did with the game characters, Blaze just got nothing. She never got some super hyper emotional, heartfelt, beautiful, epically drawn story like Silver and Knuckles and Shadow and Sonic himself or Tails. And I don't think she really needed that, but it would have been nice if we got a little more characterization out of her. Still my favorite version of the character though. Oh, unless you count I don't know, fan stories, but whatever. Reboot Blaze is pretty much exactly the same character, but but it's reboot, so it's not as good as preboot, so I'll just put her over there. The guy that replaced Robbo the Hedge last minute, B. I'm gonna put him here. He's really entertaining, but I don't have much to say about him. Breezy, I did read her story, but she's fine. She's average. This person, haven't read Reboot Bunny. I think I'll put her here. Yeah, that's about right. Okay, Preboot Bunny, S tier for sure. Better than Bean or Archimedes though. I'll say not as good as them. But he was really good. Probably my favorite female Sonic character, actually. Well, maybe Sally, but I really like Bunny. I mean, she's practically just Rogue from the X-Men, but a Sonic character. And hey, that's not a bad thing. I like Rogue. Okay, Bun. Oh, and she got some really cool action scenes throughout the comic, some interesting stories too. Who doesn't love Bunny? Okay, her alternate dimension version, Bun's Rabot, uh, good, I guess, but yeah, bottom of B, still good. Burning Blaze is not a separate character. So I'm just gonna put in don't care. Captain also, she never even becomes Burning Blaze in the pre-boot continuity. It doesn't make sense why it's even here. And these images are so obviously just, you know, photoshops or something. Good colorization though. I mean, she did go Burning Blaze in reboot, but that is sure not an image of Burning Blaze from the actual comics. Okay, Captain Metal, B tier. Top of B tier, actually. Why? Because he's Metal Sonic, but he's a pirate. What more could you possibly want? Captain Whiskers. I don't care. Because he's fine, I guess. But he's. What does he even do? Okay, this person. I don't know who she is. So I guess I'll just put haven't read. Haven't read. Chow are not characters. Chaos in Reboot does not exist. At least we never really see him anyway, as far as I know. Chaos Knuckles is not a separate character. Okay. Chaos in Preboot. Um, I mean, yeah, Chaos' story is really interesting, but it's just the same as it is in Sonic Adventure, and even then, he's not really a character, so I guess I'll just put in don't care. Charmy in Preboot. He is good. He has some really good lines. He's funny, but it's just Charmy. I mean, the only real notable thing about him is the weird brain damage thing and the "Are you ready to take a trip to the center of Charmy B's mind?" Um, I don't think so. Reboot Charmy is the same. Well, not well. No, actually, there is no way outside of the same design. These are sure separate characters, but I like Charmy. I don't know why people hate Charmy so much. He's not annoying. I guess I'll put him next to his. I don't know which one's better because this is Preboot is Preboot, but I'll just put him next to. I'll just say they're equal, but I'll put Preboot first because it's Preboot. Okay, Chip. I only read one story with him, and I just don't care. Game Chip is way better. He's practically the same character, but he's a nothing. His story has no depth like it did in Unleashed. No idea who this is. No idea who this is. Coconuts is B. I'm wearing B though. I guess here. No, I'll put him above Buns. He's funny. I don't remember anything, so I'll just say haven't read. Haven't read. Here's my first really hot take, I guess. I don't like Cream. She's not awful or anything, but I don't get why people always want to see her and everything. What is her? She doesn't add anything to the Sonic series. I guess I'll just put her in average because she's not annoying or anything. She's very average of a character. Preboot is the same. Why was she? Reboot is the same. Why was she even in the Freedom Fighters? Dimitri, S tier. Yeah, I know that sounds kind of weird, but I like Dimitri. Sure, okay, at first when he's Enerjack, I like him because he's a very typical 60s Marvel supervillain. Wronged in the past, and now he returns to enact his revenge and take over the world. Who doesn't love that kind of a supervillain? I think him being made as the leader of this weird Nazi-esque campaign in the second half of the Knuckles comic was weird, but I mean, it's not like he really wanted to do any of that stuff, and more like his followers did all that stuff. And I think he was actually pretty interesting in the whole Chaos Knuckles saga. I thought his whole cool robotic body looked really good. I like the design Jim Valentino did. I like when he shows up in movies 25 years later, it's just a floating head in a bubble. And we think, oh, because it's been so long, and now he's still alive in a robot body, but now he doesn't even really have a body. He's just a floating head. But I like how Ian Flynn in his run establishes that no, Dr. Definitivist tricked him and removed his body, so this once great, nearly invincible being is now reduced to nothing more than a floating head in a bubble, trying to get people to not make the same mistakes that he did. That's really interesting stuff. And yeah, I like that even in Flynn's version of 30 years later, he's still there. He just never died. And I really like his speech, the confession he gives to Knuckles toward the end of the comic. That was a really good story. Okay. Reboot Eggman. This is tough because Yeah, he's great, but I think Ian Waffles and I think it's Laviarie. They said it best when in their podcast Rise and Fall of Ian Flynn that it's weird because Reboot is far less darker of a continuity than Preboot. It's not this post-apocalyptic pit of despair. It's not that kind of a world. So when you okay, they're not gonna have Eggman threatening to blow people's heads up, but instead they're gonna have him say, "Hey, don't listen to me. I'm gonna paralyze you for the rest of your life." But it just doesn't really fit. So well, he's still good. I mean, he's Eggman. It's not like they made too many jokes out of him. Guess I'll put him over here. He's still really good. Eggman Nega. I wish we got to see this version because I have faith that Ian Flynn at that time anyway could actually make Eggman Nega feel like a different character from regular Eggman. And it helps that, I mean, just if you've ever read the Sonic Comic Encyclopedia, you'd be thinking, gosh, what has this guy done? It says that, okay, we already know that pre-reboot Eggman or Robo-Robotnik or whatever is super smart. This Eggman Nega is supposed to be even smarter somehow. And he was waging a one-man war against the entirety of the Zone Cops. And I just want to see what's he doing. I mean, was Blaze going to fight him? Because yeah, Blaze's story did get wrapped up with because remember, Blaze's story just really had to do with game characters, not Archie characters. So even in Reboot, her story was able to be wrapped up. But I get the feeling that's definitely not the original story Ian Flynn was going to tell, especially since Tracy Yardley wrote it. So Eggman Nega, since he's not actually a character, I guess I should just put don't care. Hmm. Okay, Robo Robotnik. Yeah, S tier. Top of S tier for sure so far. Definitely the best version of Eggman. One, I like that this is a version that so all the things that happened to the original robot, like, this guy still did. He still went through them. So when Sonic says that I've been fighting you for over 10 years, that's not a lie. It's technically true. And yeah, he's still somewhat funny, except instead of being regular kind of funny like he is in the games, he has this sadistic, dark sense of humor that I'm sure that really just screams Carl Bowler's writing. And you combine with the way that yeah, he's actually portrayed as a serious threat that should not be taken lightly, and he's always able to outsmart our heroes. Well, not always, but the point is, he is technically one step ahead of them. In Sonic Forces, he's supposed to have ruled the entire Earth, except it doesn't feel like he rules the entire world. Here, no, it does, and when you actually see him, he's the terrifying threat that he's supposed to be. This guy. Who is this guy? I haven't read. Dr. Findinivis, S tier. He so easily could have just been Eggman, but an echidna. Except the writers did not do that. I like what Carl Bollers did, even though he wrote him for, what, 2 issues? Where it was just him looking like the most evil man you've ever seen. And I love to I imagine, whenever I read his lines, I imagine them with Mark Hamill's voice. I don't know if anybody else does that, but I do it. And I'd say it fits pretty well. Like the time during Return to Angel Island when he just has some rant to some people talking about how their faith in the Avatar is ridiculous, and if you would just listen to my technology, your child would have been saved. And then what Ian Flynn does with him, he makes him one of the best villains I've ever seen. We know what his endgame is, but we don't know exactly how he's going to achieve that. He's got a great design, he's threatening, his stories are interesting. He has mystery, but you still know enough to where it's not just, okay, who even is this? Why should I care? And hey, thanks to Archie Sonic Online, I can't wait to see more of his story. Especially since the last time we saw him, which you guys should totally read Archie Sonic Online. They recently posted another issue. Okay, Dr. Ivo Robotnik. Hmm, eight here. Yeah. I guess I don't want to put him ahead of Adam. because because at the end of the day, most of the interesting stuff that Eggman does in this comic comes from Robo Robotnik, not from the original version. He's still great, but I just couldn't put him in an S tier. Wouldn't feel right. And Adam is definitely a much more interesting villain. Reboot Snively. I like what they did with Snively here by saying that, oh, because this mostly follows our reboot had to take in a bunch of the games into account, but this said, oh no, Snively still existed. He was just, Eggman's sidekick during Sonic the Hedgehog 2 and 3 Knuckles and stuff like that. And that his name is Julian Snively, combining Snively and then Julian Kentobor, Robotnik's original name in Archie and Sad I Am. And so he was just a guy, he wasn't Eggman's nephew here, he just was his partner. Really interesting, and I wish we got to see more of him, but since he never really got to do anything, I guess I'll just put him at the bottom of B tier because I still say he's good. Okay, what's this guy's name? Ivo Kentobor, the Moebius version of Robotnik. He is good. That's it. I like that he has classic Eggman's design, except he's super skinny, and that his name is Ivo Kentobor. I think that's pretty clever, but what is there really to say about him? Dr. Quack, B tier for sure. I don't know why, but I always found Dr. Quack really funny. I guess it's just stuff like how he interacts with Sonic, where Sonic says, "Don't worry, Doc. I'm with him. He's safe." And he says, "Safe with you? You're a walking disaster magnet, kid." I also try to read him with Daffy Duck's voice, which just makes it funnier. And his personality never really changes. He just gets more I don't know how to describe it. But he definitely gets a little more in his writing when Carl Boulders took over, or Ian Flynn especially. Barbie Koala, so we're starting with Down Under Freedom Fighters. I guess technically the best one, but I don't know, because they're all pretty much on the same level. Except I actually do like the Down Under Freedom Fighters quite a bit. I like their designs a lot, especially when Tracy Yardley got to draw them in the Sonic Universe story. Really, out of all these extra Freedom Fighter teams, they're the only one that I really cared about. And they do get to show up a few times, so it's not like they don't have any personality whatsoever. I guess I'd put her over here. I like her design more than some of the others. Bill. Yeah, about the same. I think his whole story about infiltrating the Eggman Empire and pretty much but not really being able to tell his friends what he was doing, and they think he just betrayed them because Eggman watched him so closely. If he made one slip up, he'd get caught, and that would not end well. Guru Emu. I guess I like that he's a hippie joke, because making fun of hippies is hysterical, guys, okay? That's it. Walt Wallaby. Since he's the leader, he has more personality than Guru. Well, again, the Down Under Freedom Fighters do actually have some personality, even if it's pretty basic. Yeah, actually, he's probably my least favorite of these four. And when it comes to the last member, okay, Wombat Stew. So he actually got some other appearances outside of the Down Under Freedom Fighters, as in he was part of Jeffrey's Secret Service, except he had no personality there. He's my least favorite, to be sure. Still good, though. Dulcie. I didn't even know she was in a reboot, and that she probably isn't. This is probably just some kind of weird fan art. Okay, well, it does look not that bad, though, but... Preboot Dulcie! I want to say I don't care, but if you've read the story Crouching Hedgehog, I think it's Hidden Dragon, I think that's what it's called, it's kind of hard not to at least care about some very specific plot points. Oh boy, average, I guess. See, she's whatever. I never liked her that much. Not in Sad AM either. Okay, Dylan the Porcupine. He's good. I like him. fun with B, but I like him. I like that he's probably the most regular member of the Council of Acorn, as he's the one guy that just wants things to just be fine and just say, yeah, well, Sonic's a hero. If he says something, let's just go with him. I like that. Omega in Reboot Omega. Okay, he's Omega. He's great. But I can only put him A tier because Preboot Omega makes Reboot Omega look like uh IDW Sonic. Okay, yeah, I'm gonna put him. Guess I'll put him over here. Third best character so far. If you have not read the very first Sonic Universe story, the Shadow Saga, oh boy, you are in for a treat with Omega. All I'll say is that Sonic Adventure did not quite go for Gamma. In this comic, Sonic Adventure was not quite the same for Gamma as it was in the actual game. But actually, if you're watching this video, you probably read the story, so yeah. Probably nearly cried reading this story before. One, getting to see Gamma and Omega interact is really interesting, and the idea of it being Gamma has a soul. He's had it for a while. He spent years shooting down Eggman's bases, and Omega's finally unleashed after being in storage for a year. I was designed to destroy Sonic the Hedgehog. Why am I not being sent to destroy Sonic the Hedgehog? And Eggman tells him, you can't rebel. You haven't even been online for 24 hours yet. Yeah, he's really good. He's really funny. I like little scenes such as during the whole Treasure Team Tango story. He likes causing destruction and violence, but he doesn't want to see Cream cry because she's just a little girl. And he's just really entertaining. And yeah, again, the Shadow Saga story is really heartfelt with him. They didn't change his character, yet they still gave him a heartfelt story. I don't know who this is. Haven't read Eclipse. S tier. I mean, come on, guys, it's Eclipse. Eclipse is probably the one reboot character I actually like a lot. Okay, oh gosh. Whoops, wrong spot. I guess I'll put him here because I couldn't say that he's better than Bunny, but he's a really great villain. I like because if you watch the podcast or listen to the podcast Sonic Comic Chaos, remember something they said about Eclipse, which is that he works for the same reason a specific other character that I haven't gotten up to yet also works. He shows this cool, edgy, tough villain that's an opposite to the hero, but he's not played entirely straight. If he were, he would just be boring and laughable. But instead he's portrayed as he's just kind of... He really does care about the black arms, the sprout, or the baby black arms. He really cares about them. He doesn't want them to get hurt or anything. You can see him being really nice to them and being really sweet. And he gets angry really easily. Or just whenever he gets frustrated, it just ends up making him really funny and likable, even though he's super evil. And he has the line, I hate this place. I've got sand in spots I didn't even know I had. That is true literature. Don't know. I mean, haven't read. Haven't read. Don't care. Don't care. Okay. I appreciate that Reboot kept around Conquering Storm. That she has practically the exact same design, except her outfit has a white line on it instead of a gold line. But since this is technically a separate character, and I've never read that, so I don't care. Okay, actual Conquering Storm from Preboot, the Bride of the Conquering Storm, one of the brides of the four houses, yada 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 yada. Bottom of good. She was very plot important despite not appearing that much. I liked her design, this kind of ninja-esque design. I always read her lines with Nika Futterman's voice. In case you've ever seen Star Wars: The Clone Wars, Asajj Ventress. That's all I really have to say. She's not that interesting. She's fine. She's good. This guy, Dr. Crow, Fukurokrov. Yeah. All that you really need to know about him is that his name is hard to pronounce. But I don't know. I found his jokes really funny, so I'm gonna put him up here. Yeah, I think I'll put him up here. He's not as good as the Down Under Freedom Fighters, but I'd say he's better than everybody else in B. And remember, so E is absolutely horrible, bottom of the barrel. D is bad. C is average. B is good. A is amazing. S is perfection. Okay, Drago Wolf. E tier. I mean, how could anybody... Oh, where'd he go? How could anybody like Drago Wolf? His story in Endgame is just completely ridiculous for all the wrong reasons. He's awful. And then when he shows up again, I'm just wondering, why is he still here? Shouldn't the writers have thought that, maybe his story in Endgame was really stupid, let's not use him again? Which is why I appreciate when Ian Flynn brings him back. He's just in the background with the rest of any villains he's with, and he just gets beat up. Even when everybody else on his team is winning, he's the one guy that's getting kicked around. Or one time when he says, "Let me at him," and he's told, "Shut up, Drago." And then, of course, when he becomes a villain for 2 stories, he gets made fun of, nobody takes him seriously, and he gets beat up. Just like he deserves. This guy! Don't care. I don't remember his name, so to me, he is just this guy. Some guy. Battlelord Cuckoo the 15th of the Battlebird Armada. Whenever I read his lines, I imagine Frank Welker, as in Megatron Transformers Prime. Guess I'll put him... Guess I'll put him here. Really good villain, despite not appearing that much, but he's no S tier villain. Lienda, yeah. A tier villain for sure, but guess here, Lienda's a really good villain, but I just don't think it'd be right to put her in front of the original Robotnik. This guy, don't care. Or haven't read, actually. M, don't care. Cool artwork by Stephen Butler, though. Hood. I imagine whenever I read his lines, I imagine Scales from Ninjago. Ian James Corlett, but I don't care. I mean, he's the one Sonic character I can think of who's a snake. Even with all the different characters in Archie, he's the only one who's a snake as far as I know. I like that, but he's whatever. Haven't read. This guy barely even speaks and is not really a character. Haven't read. Okay, since I mentioned that podcast Rise and Fall of Ian Waffles, I do know about the one story this guy, Rotor's dad, appeared in. Huh. How funny is it to call Rotor's dad this guy? If you understand the joke, you understand the joke. So, his story for the one issue I think he appears in is interesting. But since I haven't read, I can just put in haven't read. Egg pawns are not characters. Neither are egg swats. I really wish they were in the games though. Random badniks. Okay, actually these guys were characters, but don't care. Well, I think I can make an exception this one time. They're good. They're funny. Elias, S tier. If you don't read his lines, if you read his lines in Wilfred L's voice, then you, sir, are a man of culture. Yeah, if you've seen Thundercats 2011, then you know that his voice is practically Wilfred L's voice is practically perfect for Elias. The prince that never really wanted to be a prince, never thought he could really live up to the expectations that had been put upon him, but was forced to lead his people. Except Lionel ended up actually wanting to be king, and Elias never really wanted to be king. And yeah, he's really interesting. He never wanted to be king, but he had to. He ended up being part of some kind of secret service a secret agent type thing to take down Nexus Naugus. And if you've read Archie and Sonic Online, some great stuff is done with him there. As he says, "This is it, killing a condemned man, killing an innocent man to take a throne I never wanted in the first place." Yeah, that's some deep stuff, all right. I like his design too. Elias is cool. I also like that if you've seen Low Art's videos, you know that probably his standout character trait is that he just hates this comic. He doesn't want to be anywhere near all of this. He just wants to be left alone, live a simple life, but that just can't happen. Elise is not in this comic. That's it. And if she were, um, yeah, I think she'd be an E. Dark Enerjack. This is hard because he's an amazing villain, but um, hmm, I guess I'll put him at the top of A. He's a fantastic villain. And yeah, my 100 subscribers special was on the greatest Sonic story of all time, probably the Silver Saga, where he is the villain and is a really great villain. Go watch that video for more detail. Preboot Espio, A tier. Who doesn't love Espio, especially with all the depth he's given here? I mean, he's a ninja, so we get to see where he comes from and his whole clan of ninjas. And he has this cool, interesting backstory about how he was just sent to watch Knuckles because his clan has been watching the Guardians for generations, but he wasn't lying to Knuckles and the Chaos for all those years when he became friends with them. He really was their friend. And he, of course, gets to go back to them at the end. Reboot SBO, I guess he's the same because it's sort of like Blaze, as in he's not any different. So what am I really supposed to say? I mean, here he doesn't have the cool backstory that he does in Preboot, but he's the same as his game counterpart practically. So I guess I'll put him here. It's a good spot. Really good. This guy, I haven't read, Feist? Okay, Feist. Okay, hmm. I... A tier. I'm gonna put him here. He is a really entertaining character and a surprisingly great villain, or not really villain, more like just antagonist. The idea that this guy who had 8 panels of page time, maybe 9, I don't know, but 4 lines of dialogue, then shows up again over 100 issues later. I think he was only mentioned once too in that time, in that huge span of time, and then he just shows up and is Lord of the Chaos Emeralds, but it actually makes sense. And he turns all the millions, billions of Chaos Emeralds in the universe into the 7 multicolored emeralds that we all know. And he's part of some really good stories. That shows the kind of talent that went into these plots back then. Fiona Fox. I want to say B, but I also want to say A. I don't. If we're gonna say B, I'm gonna say top of B, but also I want to say top of A because she's a really well written character in the well, not pre entirely, but in the preboot Ian Flynn run, she's a really well written character that's interesting, has an interesting story that was done very well. But then there's also the fact that she's just not as interesting, or I just don't care about her as much as some of the other characters. But I'm still gonna put her in A. Still a really good character, cause yeah, the writing is really good. Flying Frog. I may end up putting all the Destructics in S tier, but that just doesn't seem right, so I'm just gonna put them all at the top of A. Well, I'll put them in between SBO and Omega. This is not a character. Is this Uma Arachnus, or is this the Bride of the Gossamer clan? If Umarakis is here, we'll come back to that, but judging by this lineup, I'm assuming not, so I don't care. SBO's mother, the bride of the Shinobi clan, hmm. Saying I don't care wouldn't really feel right, but I guess I'll just put her at C. She's average. Top of C, though. Because again, she's really more of a plot device, but she's a good one at that. Gemroll, was he even in Preboot? I mean, you can tell a lot just by seeing that these images for Preboot characters that are also in the games are just Yuji Uekawa artwork. Which makes me wonder if, again, is Gemroll even in this comic at all? Oh wait, he was in the Worlds Unite special event for one single issue. Um, I don't care. Jeffrey St. John. Oh boy. We go from the worst character in the entire comic as very hateable to a guy that you are supposed to not like, which makes him really funny and entertaining. And he eventually has a confession where he admits that he's an idiot, a jerk, and kind of a loser, but he wants to be better, and that's really likable. Then we get one of the best twists in any story I've ever seen, and it's really really good. And because the comic was rebooted, he assumingly was not going to be redeemed. We get this story of no, the villain who wants to be redeemed does not always get redeemed. Sometimes your actions always have consequences, and you are gonna pay for them. That's probably one of my few complaints with Archie Sonic Online. I don't want Jeffrey to get redeemed. I want him to get his just desserts. But I'm gonna have to put him in top of A, which is kind of weird for Jeffrey St. John. Okay, Gold is the Tenrec is not a character. Why do people talk about her so much? Oh, I know why. Because her name is Gold, and there's Silver, and she was in a story with Silver. So the shippers have to go all out. Shippers, just tell you, I'm a Sonic fan. Of course I ship characters, but this is just going too far. I mean, come on. But then again, I guess don't care wouldn't really feel right because her story was really good. So I guess I'll just put her in B, bottom of B. She's better than the Badniks. Grounder. I'll put him above Coconuts. And Coconuts is here, so yeah. He's really funny. Out of all of Robotnik's bots in Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog, he was definitely my favorite. and he was voiced by Gary Chalk. What's not to love? Commander Tower, who on this list only has an image from his pre-boot or reboot artwork, but he is in pre-boot. And yeah, the comic actually gives the gun commander from Shadow the Hedgehog a name. And there is no story, even though this whole thing with him seeing Shadow created while being on the Ark as a boy, just like a Shadow the Hedgehog, is still canon to both of these continuities. There's never a scene where this old guy, military guy, just shows up and holds a pistol to the ultimate life form who has chaos powers and tells him, "You killed Maria. She was the only friend I had." And then tries to shoot him with said pistol. No, that scene is not here. In the Sonic Comic Encyclopedia, it mentions that stuff. It mentions that he knew Shadow, but when he actually saw him for the first time, when Shadow wanted to work for Gun, he didn't harbor any grudges against him because he didn't hate Shadow in Preboot. He just thought, well, that was really disturbing to see Shadow's creation. And in Preboot, he just says to Rouge and Omega, "I no longer carry any ill will towards Shadow." Showing that, yeah, Shadow the Hedgehog happened in this continuity. So all of that baloney is behind us. And his name is Abraham Towers, in case you're wondering, because yeah, he does have a name. So I'll put him at the top of B. Well, I'll put him here. Hamlin. Okay. You are supposed to hate Hamlin, and I do. But it's also really funny when you see his first story was the the Sally miniseries, or as Lowart would say, Jeffrey St. John special, baby, where he was really unlikable purely because of Jeffrey, and his only character trait was to be unlikable. So when the comic brings him back and makes it that his personality, he's an unlikable jerk who is a stickler for the rules. That's good writing, but I'm just gonna put him at the bottom of B. He's good. Harvey Who, a character that existed in an entire story probably just to make a joke about the how many licks do you think it takes to get to the center, that ends up becoming super important, is amazing. Okay, guys, I'll put him here in A tier. Who else imagines him with Corey Burton's voice, as in, Ratchet from Transformers Animated, Mr. Bowen from Ben 10 Omniverse? Eh? Maybe Jeffrey Combs? I don't think that's someone else. Heavy and Bomb. I like Heavy and Bomb. They're good. Again, I'll just put them in the bottom of B because, yeah, they're good. They're funny a bit, but they're not really, there's not much to them. Striker. Okay, now this is a really interesting character. I guess I'll have to put him on, I'll put him in B. I'll put him in the top of B. He's a good character, but I wouldn't say he's a great character. I like the Dingo story a lot, actually. I wish there was a little more to it in certain spots, but I liked it. Hershey Cat is... Oh, boy. Yeah, I already talked about Drago. She was part of the whole mess that was that storyline, and that was her first appearance. And then afterward, her personality just becomes... She is, sneaky, I think? Maybe? What is her personality? I wish I knew, but I guess since she's not really that important to most plots, I guess it's fine that she's just average. I guess uh since her stories are not, well, aside from her first one, since the rest of her stories are not as laughably uh special as Dulcie's, I think I'll say she's a little better. Honey the Cat. Why do people act like, oh, why isn't Honey the Cat show up anymore? What happened to her? Guys, she was in an arcade game that was exclusive to Japan until what? 2004 or something? It's also really funny that Archie kept getting letters from people saying, "Well, are you gonna show Honey the Cat?" One, I'm surprised you even know who she is, and two, why do you care? There are so many characters. Why her? Why this random nobody that doesn't even have a personality? But then Reboot comes and gives her a personality, which is just to be a slightly less annoying version of Amy. Oh wow, that sure is something. Mm, yeah, whatever. Hope, A tier. Hope is really good. And yeah, she's no Maria ripoff. She was the blonde little girl related to Eggman that lived in space originally, that wore blue, a year before Sonic Adventure 2 came out. And her stories were just genuinely really interesting. Like the story of a girl named Hope, or when she got to learn about the original freedom fighters, or her scenes with Snively, her stuff with Shadow. Yeah, it's really good stuff. Super Knuckles is not a separate character. Iblis does not exist in this comic, at least we never see him anyway. Iron Khan is not a separate character from Monkey Khan. The Demon Bull King, I mean Steve Bloom, the Iron King, yeah, that's his name. It's really good. Yeah, I think after watching Monkey Kid, it's impossible to not read every single one of his lines with Steve Bloom's voice. I mean, he's supposed to be the Demon Ball King from the Journey to the West. And I really like him. He's just this mean, sour jerk that likes beating people up and calls everyone a runt. What more could you want from a side supervillain? Iron Nicole is not a separate character. The Iron Queen. Um. Hmm. I have many issues with the Iron Dominion saga. Well, really more like one gigantic issue, which we'll get to later. But as for the Iron Queen herself, she's um okay, I guess. Hmm. She's an interesting plot device, but she's not an interesting character, so I just don't care. Average. Hmm. Hmm. Put her over here. Mina Mongoose's mother Isabella. Don't care. Sure, she was actually pretty plot important, but whatever. Jack the Rabbit. Let's see here. All three of his stories were really interesting and good. I like them. Uh, I'd say he's not quite as good as. Well, I'd say he's about equal to the Iron King. I mean, he's a guy with a cowboy accent. I mean, there's nothing quite like the image of when Sonic finally shows up to Sandblast City after not having been here for over 120 issues, not counting spin-offs. And then this guy has a gun to Sonic's head and says, "Now what in tarnation are you doing back in my city?" Antoine and Bunny's future son, Jacques, whatever, I don't care. Jenica. So, is this separate from Larsu? I'm assuming not on this tier list, but oh boy. Where do I put her? I guess B, top of B. I know as good as Striker and Captain Metal, but really good. The story in Sonic Universe she got was really interesting. I think her and all the 25, 30 years later stories, she was fine. I mean, out of all the new characters, she was the only one with any real distinguishable personality. Also, this list is wrong because when it says every character, because I did this list once, I skimmed through this list once before, and I'm pretty sure that Kobar isn't here. But then again, who actually cares about Kobar? Unless you're Ken Penders. But come on, even he probably doesn't remember who that is. Reboot Jet. I never read him in Reboot, so even though I know that he's just exactly the same as Game Jet, I don't care. Okay, why are the Babylon Rogues all here as one? Skimming the rest of the list. Yeah, I guess in Preboot for some reason they're all lumped together, even though they're not in Reboot. A tier for sure. They're all really funny. And yeah, I really like all of their stories. And I mean, Storm has the greatest line of all time, of course. You know, yeah, boss, that Los Angeles sky was kind of scary. And I also always love the scene with Speedy where Jet just tosses him to the floor and says, "Sorry, kid, the Babylon Rogues are off to meet their destinies." Tracy Yardley is a master artist and writer. This girl, tapping red, Johnny. Johnny. I remember what Jay's review said about Sonic Rivals. So we go from Metal Sonic to Knuckles to Shadow to Blaze to Silver, who aren't really Sonic Rivals, but whatever. So to Johnny. Jules, Sonic's father, and yeah, it's Father's Day. I'd say he's about as good as Sonic's mother, Bernie. Yeah, I like him a little more though. I like actually getting to see Sonic's parents in this comic, and that, well, I wouldn't want that in the games or any other kind of material. I think seeing Sonic's parents as one time it's nice, and it fits into this version of the continuity well. And I like Sonic's father. I mean, Father and Son is probably the most dubbed Sonic comic ever, at least when it comes to pre-boot, and with good reason. Julie Sue, S tier for sure. I'll put her. She's better than Eclipse, but not as good as Bunny. Well, It's either the character that is practically just rogue or the character that is just Arcee from Transformers Prime, but before Transformers Prime. I think I'll take Bunny over her. Wait, that sounded really wrong. Um, I think she's a better. Yeah, I think Bunny's a better character. Okay. King Maximilian Acorn. What? What a specimen of a character. Um, hmm. I hate him, but you are supposed to hate this man. It's really funny to see this guy who just got continuously manipulated and beaten and broken over and over again until he's nothing more than a sad, dying old man in a wheelchair. That is something special. I'll put him at the bottom of B. But it's also funny because sometimes when you get to Carl, say Carl Bowlers, he writes him to be really nice and kind and he likes Sonic. And then when Ken Penders and Ian Flynn write him, they just absolutely hate Sonic's guts. Or he just absolutely hates Sonic's guts. King Nigel Acorn. The reboot version. Don't care. He's too boring. I don't know who these people are. Haven't read. Alright. Preboot Knuckles. S tier. Sir Knuckles the Echidna of the House of Edmund, according to the Sonic Wiki, which I guess makes sense because, yeah, he was knighted, and I guess House of Edmund makes sense. Definitely S tier. If you want to know why Archie Knuckles is the best Knuckles, just watch Low Art's video. Who cares that it's almost an hour long? It's really good. Even when the Knuckles comic didn't focus on him, even though it was, okay, just quick side note. If I had a nickel for every time a Knuckles spin-off didn't focus on Knuckles, I'd have two nickels, which isn't a lot, but it's weird that it happened twice, right? Except Knuckles comic is at least interesting. For better or worse, it sure keeps a guy's attention. And what Knuckles does in the rest of the comic is really good. Because when he did get focus, it was interesting. Reboot Knuckles. Being Ian Flynn's favorite character is probably the reason why he actually got a really good arc in Reboot. I think I'll put him here. Yeah, that's a good spot. High A. His arc of his character arc is really interesting. Because I did read his all of his appearances in Reboot, at least when it comes to Sonic Universe, which is that he just starts to question, what even is my purpose? What is my life? Am I just a guy that sits around and guards a big shiny green rock forever? Is that it? And what it does at the end is really interesting. It's good. I like him. He's practically just preboot Knuckles, but without all of the super interesting, crazy lore that makes me almost want to cry during certain stories. Okay, Kodos. Don't care. Uh, the Cruzu Hybrid Hydra. He's good. Interesting villain. I don't really know what to say about the Cruzu Hybrid Hydra. I like that eventually it just becomes this kind of immortal beast that nobody can destroy. That's funny. Okay, Larasu is a separate character here. Okay. Um. Uh. C tier. Top of C though. Oh, gosh. Well, my computer battery's running out. Better finish this quickly. Larry Lynx. Um. A tier. He is over there. And yeah, again, when it comes to voices I read the characters as, I read him as Yakko from Animaniacs. Can't beat Rob Paulson's classic performance. This girl that Tails had a crush on for one single panel. Doesn't matter, don't care. Lightning Lynx. A tier. Again, the Destructics are just all great. Then again, I think I'll say Omega's a little better than him actually. Even Preboot Omega. Locke. For a long time, the most interesting character in the entire comic. I despise Locke, and that's great. If we're just judging off of how well written is he as a character, honestly, he's probably S tier, but I think I'll just say he's over here. Second to the top on A. He's really good character. Really interesting to see this man that will just never change, no matter how many people tell him to. No matter how bad things get, he refuses to change his ways, and he ends up having to sacrifice himself to save the son that he really sort of hated. Which, well, I don't know if he hated Knuckles, but that's probably not. It's probably going too far. But I mean, it's a classic scene where Julie Sue tells him, "Oh, give it a rest. You've had plenty of chances to destroy the son you hate." He said, "Well, I don't hate Knuckles, but he's become." And when it comes to voices, I read him with Eric Bauza's voice. If you've seen Ben 10 Omniverse, you probably don't remember what Rook's dad sounds like, but he looks and sounds like Locke. His story is about he he doesn't like that his son is making a mockery of tradition and doesn't like that he's changing his ways and going out from home to explore the rest of these other peoples. Yeah, that's pretty much just Locke, except he actually has a change of heart. Lupe is in Reboot. That's surprising. Whatever. I haven't read. Lupe in Preboot, where she has an Indian chief's hat for some reason. Uh, Average, I guess. I don't care about Lupe. Uh, hmm. She's good. Average. Um, Lita and Lyco. Bottom of B. I like Lita and Lyco. They get some funny lines, but there's not much to them. But they're still good. Okay, every member of Mina Mongoose Band. They are not characters. They're just there to say, hey, look, guys, remember when Sonic was going to be in a band in Sonic 1, but all those characters were canceled? Well, look, they're Mina's band, which I actually really like that reference, but I don't know who this is. Wait, is that Topaz from Sonic X? Um, I don't know. It's whatever. Mammoth Mogul. S tier? Well, yeah, that's a pretty fair spot. I'll put him here. Well, okay, there. That's a good spot for Mammoth Mogul. A villain that went from you really wanted him to be cool, the writer sure did, except they couldn't write him like in the comic where you had to read 3 issues of the Knuckles comic. But it does not finish in the Knuckles comic. It finishes an issue of Sonic the Hedgehog. Okay. But if you were just reading Sonic, you wouldn't understand the context because the recap page just sounds like another one of Mammoth Mogul's essays. They say power is the ultimate knowledge, but who knows what knowledge and power really are? Or knowledge is the ultimate power, but you get the idea. He becomes really good later on, though. Okay, Manic. Sonic and Sally's son in the future. I don't care about Sonic and Sally's kids. I guess they're kind of funny and under Ian Flynn, but whatever. Marine. This is Preboot Marine. I don't care. Well, she's too funny to not care, so I guess here, an average. And that would mean that her Preboot counterpart, who's literally the exact same character, is the same. Matilda, Mighty's sister. A plot device, but a plot device to a super emotional scene. Um, hmm, as a character, she's average. Another member of Mina's band. Put him next to the other member. Mecha Sally is not a separate character. This is a what-if version of a roboticized Sonic. I don't care about Elias' wife. I don't care about Tails and Mina's daughter in the future. Mephiles, Okay, one, that's some awesome artwork, but Mephiles just his cameo in Sonic Universe does not count. Funny as it is to see Mephiles the Dark sitting at a prison table in an orange jumpsuit, saying about Scourge the Hedgehog. Whoa, that guy needs to chill out. It's just don't care. I don't care. He's still really funny though, in that one, the one line he gets. Mecha Knuckles is not a character. Metal Scourge sure isn't. Okay, pre-boot Metal Sonic. Hmm. I want to say A tier, but I also want to say S tier. I think I'll put him. Hmm. Sonic Universe 50 is one of the greatest things I've ever read in my entire life, but I think I'll just put him here. Well, here's one thing I like about him that makes him the best version of Metal Sonic. Way better than all the others, even if you disregard every other story he's in. He can talk. Why is it so hard for you IDW and games people to not make? Why won't you make Metal Sonic talk? Come on. Oh, as Eggman literally says in this comic after he gives him his voice back. With a wonderfully menacing new voice codec installed, that silent killer shtick was getting old. Yeah, these days it's older than, I don't know, whatever. Pre-boot Metal Sonic. I don't care. Or reboot Metal Sonic. I don't even know who he is. Who is this character? He's just evil Eggman robot. Reboot Mighty. B tier. And I'll put him. Hmm. He is. Over here. I like his design a lot. And I like how he teaches Werehog Sonic to control Zanger. I thought that was an interesting idea. Okay, Mighty in Preboot. S tier for sure. I think I'll say he's better than Bunny. I imagine him with Ben 10's voice. That's all you need to know about him. Well, okay. Mighty, Archie kept characters that many people think they weren't brought back until, Sonic Mania, Knack, Mighty, Bray. No, they were in Archie this whole time. Most people just don't know that because they didn't read this stuff. And boy, they were missing out. They were missing out on the one time Mighty actually had characterization. And he got some really good stories. Miles, the by far the most interesting member of the Suppression Squad. So I guess I'll say he's better than Alicia, but still not as good as Jonica. I like that it's the opposite version of Tails that absolutely hates his version of Sonic. Or how he goes by Miles instead of Tails and thinks it's stupid to be called Tails. It also says it says in the Sonic Comic Encyclopedia that he uses magic because Tails is supposed to be some kind of he's the nephew of a magician and some kind of chosen one, yet Miles never uses magic. Mina Mongoose. A tier character definitely. Annoying as that whole love triangle with Sonic and Sally was, it's kind of hard. You just can't hate on Mina Mongoose. She's such a likable character. She's funny. She's, I guess, somewhat relatable, I suppose. I like seeing a novel civilian actually get characterization and depth. It's nice. And I like that she sticks around even after her story is over. Monkey Khan, easily the worst character in the entire comic. To say that I think Monkey Khan is annoying would be an understatement. His story in Iron Dominion, he just exists to lengthen a story that should be over in this story. But nope, he has to do that stupid love triangle. And besides, we all know Sally was gonna pick Sonic at the end, which she did. Yet when she's about to tell him that, you see, I can't go with you because, Sonic and you live on the other side of the world and I'm a princess, she still kisses him for some reason and it's super weird and uncomfortable and I hate it. And Monkey Khan, other than that, is just annoying and rude and mean. So even the interesting characterization he does get is just completely drowned out by how obnoxious and stupid his plot is. All I'm gonna remember him for is his stupid love triangle plot, not that he had some kind of story about not about that was never even really went and dived into about how there are other cons like him. But no, the other cyborgs Eggman tried to make, they did die. His family is dead. It does not mean people who also have the family name Khan. It's a common name. So then, what did he? What did it mean that there are others like him? I want to know what that means. Maybe Archie Sonic Online will finally tell us one day. This guy, I like his story, but I don't care. Is this the president of Station Square or the mayor? I think it's the president of Station Square. The president of Station Square, I don't care about. The mayor, I also don't care about. Not that I don't like these guys. I thought they were actually pretty funny, but they even look exactly the same. I mean, come on. Mutsky, I don't care. He's just Sonic's dog. Reboot Mutsky, I don't care. Knack the Weasel, who also I'm pretty sure doesn't even have a separation between reboot and preboot here, because he's just, he's Knack the Weasel. He's too cool for that. And yeah, he's Knack the Weasel, not Fang the Sniper or Fang the Hunter. I think those are terrible names. And in this comic, he is called Knack the Weasel, so saying Knack is not wrong. He is hilarious. He's actually a threat. He sticks around regularly, so you actually get to see him do things. And it's just funny to see this guy, just this super obscure character, just continue to wander around. Nate Morgan may be the definition of I do not care. He defeats Ixis Naugus, not Sonic, in the most lackluster, boring way imaginable. And then he dies and we're supposed to care, but we don't actually care because it's never really said that he dies or anything. Because maybe the comic didn't want to mention that Sonic and Tails technically let the entire thousands of roboticized people get nuked. And then it's just an offhand line mentioned by Eggman later that you let your friends die like Nate Morgan. Ixis Naugus. S tier. Well, I don't know. I think I'll just put him high A. And just as the voice I imagine, he is Robin Atkin Downs. The voice is just too perfect. If you've seen Thundercats 2011, you'd know that. Oh gosh, this video is going for a really long time, and oh gosh, there's still so many characters left. I'm just gonna have to skim through all of these now. Okay, I don't care about Walter Naugus. I don't know who this is. Nicole in Preboot. Hmm. Hi, she's a great character. Reboot Nicole is bad. I don't need it. I don't want to say the reason why, because you should all know. Okay, so if you guys know Sonic Chronicles: The Dark Brotherhood, and that the Nocturnus clan is inspired, but yeah, it's really more of an inspiration than a ripoff, are inspired by the Dark Legion from Archie. And it says in the Sonic Comic Encyclopedia that they actually do exist in this universe. But since their leader is not a character, I don't care. He never actually shows up. Omo Chow's not a character. Is this Reboot Orbon Cubot? I don't know. I didn't really read them, so I don't care. I don't remember. These orphans, I like them, but I don't care. This weird version of Nicole is not a character. Patch. He's good. That's it. Don't care. Don't care. Don't care. Okay, Predator Hawk. As I've said before, the Destructics are great, and I'd say about, he's over there. Probably is my favorite backstory of all the Destructics. Professor Von Slumber from Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog. Bottom of B, he's good. Mr. Pickle, don't care. Not a character. Don't care about Sally's and Life's mother. Don't know who that is. Ray, I don't care because I don't remember anything he did in Preboot. Okay, but I mean reboot. Preboot Ray, okay. A tier. For sure. He's great. I imagine him sounding like Scott Menville. You know, Robin from Teen Titans. Don't actually I didn't read that. Well, I like Relic and Fix It. They're fine. They're good. Remington. Okay, that's a surprise. I forgot about him. I out of all the original Echidna characters, I actually like Remington a lot, but um, I think I'll have to put him over here. Yeah, I'll rearrange the ring. Robbo the Hedge and his wife. Robbo the Hedge is good. That's it. That's all I can say. I like him. Oh gosh, this video has probably been going on forever. Uh, oh boy. Um, I don't care about Tails' mother. I don't care about either version of Rosie. I don't care about Rosie the Rascal. Well, she's good. The bottom of good. Don't care. I'm sorry, I just don't care about Rotary even Preboot. Preboot Rouge. Oh boy. This is complicated. I'm just gonna put her at the bottom of toward the bottom of C. Well, I think her stories are interesting. I think it's I like how she just portrays a straight up villain here, but with some good. But whatever. Okay. Reboot Rouge is actually pretty good. I think here's a good spot. She has some pretty funny lines with Knuckles, like when she sees Relic, and she says, "Oh, you moved on from me. You forgot all about me for her, huh?" And then Relic says, What have you been telling people?" Hey, Saffron, don't care either way. Reboot Sally. I'm not even gonna say don't care. I'm just gonna say I hate her. They ruined Sally. Still, though, she's not as bad as these two. Okay, the real Sally Acorn. S tier. Put her at the bottom of S. She has a lot of issues, but a lot of really good stuff too. Scourge the Hedgehog. Okay, I mean, come on, guys. He's Scourge the Hedgehog. Oops. The guy took over his world and called himself king. Just watch Low Art's video. I don't know, just Scourge is great. Okay. Shades on this. Okay, It's kind of hard to shadow. So that's the ranking so far for the top. Gosh, this video has just been going on for ages. Reboot Shadow is actually really good. I mean, surprisingly good. But I still can't put him in S. There. Where's Shard? There's Shard. Shard is, as I said that Forged in Fire Sonic Universe 50 is one of the best things I've ever read. It genuinely is one of the greatest Sonic stories ever, guys. I mean, come on. It's one of the only two Sonic stories that I've actually cried during. uh, that's a good spot. Shard is excellent. Well, Archie Sonic Online kept him alive, so maybe we can see more of him. I want to see more of him and Nicole. Anyway, that guy. Then the best version of Silver the Hedgehog, so top of S tier. Well, of course, not as good as Eggman actually, but okay, we're in the home stretch, boys. Silver from pre reboot. Honestly, bottom of S. That one story we get with him is really great. And he's pretty much just Game Silver, so he's the GOAT. Uh, 23%. Don't care. This video's been going on for ages. Okay, we're done with the Destructics. Uncle Chuck was ruined in reboot, guys. Gosh, this has just been going on and on. Oh no, wait, that's the wrong Uncle Chuck. Actual Uncle Chuck is a B tier. Don't care about Tails' son in the future. Now, Sleuth Doggy Dog. Now that is... He sure is a funny character. I think I'll put Amadeus. I'll move him down to here, actually. Okay. Okay, first of all, Solaris just we'll put here. I'm just gonna get all these out of the way. Not a character. Styx doesn't exist in this continuity. Don't care about Storm. Didn't read, whatever. Super Scourge is not a separate character. None of the super forms are separate characters. Don't care. Don't care. Don't care. Not a separate character. Sorry, Universe Salamander. I don't care about you. I sure don't care about Vanilla the Rabbit, that's for sure. No. Whoa, wrong character. I don't. I'm just sorry, guys. I'm sorry there's no commentary here, but I just have to speed run through this. I do not want my computer to die before this is over. Um, Zavik is the definition of awful, but he doesn't ruin some character I love like Reboot Sally. So the other members of the Deadly Six, I can't even. I'm just gonna say I don't care because they're not like Zavik where that one. They don't get as much focus. Well, this is Archie though. Zavik's not actually in Archie that much. But whatever. Yeah, I know I've just some of these I just haven't read, but I don't care anymore. Okay, we're all down to the finals. Starting with Snively. S tier for sure. Snively is great. Yeah, I like him more. Say he's better than Knack, but he's not as good as Eclipse. Um, the best version of the best character of all time ever, of course, pre-reboot Archie Sonic. Oh no, my computer's dying. Uh, yeah, there he goes. Oh no 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 no. This video is not. This is going on for way longer than I thought it would. Sonic. I don't care about reboot Sonic. Okay. Just whatever. He's not a character. I don't care about the SWAT bots. This guy is entertaining, so I'll say he's the bottom of B tier. Same with Sonic. Well, I'll say he's a little better than Rosie the Rascal. Oh boy, I'm getting so hot. Thrash is super compelling and interesting that I just have to put him. Oh boy. I just have to put Thrash. No. Keep Mighty there. Thrash is A tier. He's an A tier character. Well, this is getting to be a disaster. Tails. I don't care about reboot Tails. Vector is entertaining, but I don't care. This Speedy is good. I'm gonna put it up at the bottom of B. Okay, last two. Pre-reboot Tails is a high A. He's not actually my favorite version of Tails. My favorite version of Tails is from the Boom TV show, but you know, he's still really good. Okay, final character. Pre-reboot Vector is amazing, guys. He is the best version of Vector. He's pretty much Vector. If you just look at him, his personality here is just what his design says. S tier. Come on. Unload. Load, I say. Never mind. Well, Vector is just stuck, so even though I like him, that's just where he's gonna have to go, sadly. So, thank you for sitting through this whole mess. That's all for now. As always, keep on juicing.